to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink, cause I think I'm going all in.
Hey everybody, welcome to the first ever edition of the Red, Orange, and Blue podcast. I am your host, the Mexinadian, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about in this first episode. What a week it has been for Detroit sports. And first of all, we got to talk about it. First of all, it is the biggest thing in Detroit sports in a very long time. Probably since my guess would be the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup last. And that is the Detroit Lions winning their first playoff game in 32 fucking years. They beat the LA Rams 24-23. And oh my God, what a feeling that is. Now, if you guys don't know, I am 25 years old or somewhere around that age. I stopped caring after 21. But they have not won a playoff game since I was born, since before I was born, and since before anybody in any of my siblings have been born, ever since any of my brothers-in-law have been born. There is not a single person in my family besides my parents, aunts, and uncles that were alive when the Lions last won a playoff game. And it's such an incredible feeling, because there were, for the longest time, by people in my generation and the generation before me, there were times where a lot of times that we were all thinking the Lions are never going to win a Super Bowl in my lifetime. You know, I'll be lucky if my kids could see a Super Bowl in their lifetime from the Lions. And while we're not quite at the Super Bowl yet, this is a very good first step, and my God, could I not be happier about it. Everybody on that team played to the best of their abilities. Now, there were the usual third quarter struggles from the defense and the O-line, but the team kept it together, they stuck through it, and they got the fucking win. And props to everybody. St. Brown, Montgomery was a workhorse. He got the first touchdown of the game. He was such a big part of that win. Obviously, Laporta, playing injured, got a touchdown. And it was such I still don't have the words to describe it properly. It was just an incredible feeling to be able to witness that. And I was watching it at the same time as I was the Red Wings game. We'll get into the Red Wings in a bit. But going back and forth, I could tell just from both games that Detroit sports are starting to come back. Now, we do still have the Tigers and the Pistons to worry about. Don't worry about them right now, but they are still a factor in the Detroit sports getting back to where they are. The Tigers look like they're on the up and up. The Pistons, well, you know the gist with that. But hey, if the Pistons doing jack shit this season, is what we had to sacrifice for the Lions to win the NFC North, win their first playoff game, and go as far as they possibly can in the playoffs, I can live with that. That is something I am 100% comfortable with living with, and everybody else is too. They made the sacrifice for the city of Detroit, and it is paying off fantastically. Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes in 3 years have taken this team from a not even fringe playoff team to potential Super Bowl contenders. And do I think that the Lions are Super Bowl contenders? Well, it's still up in the air because the defense does still have problems that need to be addressed. But my God, when this team is on, they are on, and they could beat the best in the league. Now, thankfully, we do not have to go in and play Dallas. And Dallas, they got fucking dummied by Green Bay. So thank you, Green Bay. Never thought I'd say that in my life. You're not going to get out of the second round, Green Bay, but, thank you. So we take on the winner of, who is it? The Buccaneers, or it's either Tampa Bay or Philadelphia, I'm pretty sure. And I'm not going to lie, I would probably prefer Tampa Bay. And not even because Tampa Bay is like the weaker of the two. I mean, I think they're the weaker of the two. There is a part of me that kind of wants to play Philadelphia because we know with Matt Patricia in charge of that defense, they ain't going to do shit. Or is he in charge of the defense? I can't remember what he's in charge of. I don't care about Matt Patricia in the first place. So with Matt Patricia in charge of whatever he's in charge of, it's dog shit, and Philly has not been good since he took over. So it's kind of a toss-up, but I do think the Lions will stand a better chance against Tampa Bay. And like I said, this has all of the makings of the Lions doing whatever is possible to get this win, get as far as they can into the playoffs. And if you've seen the video on the Lions Twitter account, Brad Holmes was going fucking insane in the elevator at the stadium. Decker was incredibly emotional in his post-game interview. You know, Hutchinson, St. Brown, Goff, they are all studs who are there not as a revenge game for the Lions because they were playing against Stafford, who Stafford, by the way, played fantastically. He played perfect this game, and that just kind of makes this victory all the more sweeter because of how good he played. And the Lions stepped up to the plate. They got 2 or 3 really good stops in the red zone, forcing either punts or you're not going to punt in the red zone, forcing field goals, and that is what won this game in the end. In the end, the Lions won this game because they didn't allow the Rams to convert in the red zone. They didn't allow the Rams to get the points they needed to get over the Red Wings Lions. So I'm super fucking excited. After the game, I slammed a beer and did 4 shots of what did I do 4 shots of? I can't even remember. I think it was Jack Daniels. I can't remember at this point. I don't even know where the fucking bottle is at this point. But I was hyped. And oh boy, was the night. This weekend in general was a fantastic night. And this team is looking to go all the way. Obviously, if you're a playoff team, you're looking to go all the way. But this team has something special in them that is making them believe they can go all the way. And if this team believes they can go all the way and they play like they believe they can go all the way, they will go all the way. Mark my words, they will go all the way and play probably the 49ers or whoever the fuck is over there. I don't care. And if you thought that tonight was hyped for the Detroit Lions, then imagine if they make the Super Bowl. Hell, imagine if they win the next round and then the next round and then go to the Super Bowl. There is not a single ticket you will be able to buy at Ford Field if the Lions make it to the Super Bowl, because they'll be like $3,000. Like the tickets to this game at minimum for like Upper Bowl, I think, was like $500 to $700. Like, unless you wanted to take out a second mortgage on your home, you're either going to this game by yourself or you just have an incredibly large amount of disposable income, which I, for one, don't have. So I guess it's just something that us Lions fans aren't, obviously us Lions fans aren't used to this. Us Lions fans aren't used to the Detroit Lions being good. We aren't used to the Detroit Lions making the playoffs. And we aren't used to the Detroit Lions making the playoffs and having a legitimate shot to go far. And it is just such an incredible feeling. I cannot get over that. And I'm recording this right after the game. So my feelings, this is like my first thoughts. I haven't had time to articulate any words. And that's what I wanted this podcast to be about, is my emotional reaction to things. And it doesn't get much more emotional than watching the Detroit Lions go from mediocrity to basement dwellers to Super Bowl potential contenders. And watching them win their first playoff game since before I was even alive, pretty far away from before I was alive, actually. It's just incredible to witness. I'm so glad I was able to witness it. You know, my dad my dad was watching this game. We were texting all day. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Just everybody that I know is so incredibly happy for this team. I am so incredibly happy for this team. This team is so incredibly happy for this team. And in the end, they have worked their asses off to make sure that us, the fans of the Detroit Lions, have something to cheer for. They've made sure to put the city of Detroit back on the map in the sports world. And they are doing it with confidence. They are doing it with swagger. They are doing it legitimately. You know, and there are people on Twitter right now saying that the refs helped the Lions, which is pretty fucking classic for what a world to be in. People are complaining that the refs helped the Lions, but it's a playoff game, you guys. It's like that in every single playoff series in general, except maybe baseball, because I don't really I don't really know how the rules in playoff baseball works too much. I watch baseball, but the Tigers haven't been in the playoffs for Lord knows how long, and I don't care for really any other team, so I don't really watch the MLB playoffs. But regardless, it's like that. It's going to be like that in every single playoff game. Playoffs in every sport that I know of is going to be faster. It is going to be harder. It is going to be stronger play every single time. And if you don't step up to the plate, you cannot complain that the refs are screwing you. You cannot complain that your team isn't playing well, because at the end of the day, if you go into a playoff game thinking it's going to be just like a regular season game, you're going to get your shit running, and it's not even going to be close. Because like I said, playoffs are a different animal. Playoffs do not care about what your team did in the regular season. It's why when we go into regular seasons, you see a lot of people say for these certain teams, the regular season doesn't matter. The regular season is just formality. The regular season's just there so that way our players have potentials to win awards, stuff like that. That is the only reason that playoffs exist for certain teams. It's like that in every other sports world. It's like that just every year for every sport. And when you go into a playoff series, like I said, thinking that it's just going to be like the regular season, and then you get these teams that are built for the playoffs, you're going to get your shit running. So, yeah, this is just, I cannot express how happy I am for the Detroit Lions. I cannot express how happy I am for this fan base. And I cannot express how happy I am that the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff beat Matthew Stafford's LA Rams, and wow, did he get booed when he ran out on the field. The LA Rams Twitter page tried to play it off. They sent out a tweet saying whose house or whatever, and then the Detroit Lions Twitter clapped back at the end of the game saying Jared's house, which is fucking great. But yeah, it's such an incredible feeling. I cannot express that enough. I wish I could dedicate more time to it, but at the end of this podcast is just me right now. If I had somebody else to banter with, it would go on for a while, but I'm just going to keep saying the same things over and over again. So with that, we're going to go into the Detroit Red Wings news, and what a week it was for the Detroit Red Wings. They are currently, 5-0-1, I believe. Yeah, they're 5-0-1. They currently have not lost a game in the regular season so far in 2024. I can't say that. They've not lost a game in regulation in 2024. That's what I meant to say, not the regular season. They've not had a regulation loss in 2024, and it has been a very decent run up to this point. So this week, the Detroit Red Wings took on the Anaheim Ducks, the Edmonton Oilers. Well, I guess for talking this, whatever. Took on Anaheim, Edmonton, LA, and Toronto tonight. And they beat Anaheim 3-2. It wasn't a clean win, but it was a win. They lost to Edmonton 3-2 in OT. That wasn't a very clean game as well. They won against LA 5-3 at home. That was a pretty solid game. Alex Lyon is him. And then tonight, probably the hypest I have ever seen this team this season so far, and that was their 4-2 win against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And oh boy, was this team hyped after that Andrew Kopp goal. Oh my God. Running through the goals real quick. It was started out by Pontus Holmberg, who tipped one in behind Reimer. Reimer had a really good game today, honestly. He had a fantastic game, much better than I think anybody ever thought he was going to, better than I thought he was going to. And Samsonov had a really good game game today too, especially coming back from the AHL and whatnot. I was under the impression that this game was going to be a very high-scoring game. I was under the impression that this game was going to be, a 6-5, 7-8 game type of game. But no, both goalies locked down for their team, and you can't really put any of these goals on the goalies. The Holmberg goal was just an unfortunate tip off of the skate from a point shot from Morgan Riley, I believe. But don't worry, the captain comes back and ties it up from Perron with a beautiful shot. Larkin's been on fire lately. Then Mitch Marner This was a bad line change on the Red Wings. Mitch Marner comes in. There was 3 Red Wings, and there was only 3 Red Wings on the ice at the time because he's a really bad line change, like I said, and he was left wide open. Nothing Reimer could do about it, and that was his 600th point, if I'm not mistaken, making him the fastest Maple Leaf to get to 600 points. He's 600 points in the least amount of games. And it was scoreless in the first, by the way, if you guys were wondering. That was all in the second. In the third period, nothing but the Red Wings here. Daniel Sprong on a broken stick play from Morgan Riley, I believe it was. It was either Riley or Liljegren, I can't remember. But they shot it in, broken stick. DeBrincat gets it to Sprong. Sprong, a half breakaway essentially, gets out behind Samsonov. It's tied up. And then the goal that made the team go berserk. Andrew Kopp, boy, has he been on fire these last few games. I don't know where he's been before that, but he's got 3 goals in 3 games, and it was a beautiful shot. He's got such a sneaky good shot. I don't know why he's just avoided using it. Maybe it's because of his matchups. I don't know, but his shot can be deadly. Sorry, that was a yawn. And then Lucas Raymond sealed the deal with his 12th of the season for an empty net, making the final go 4-2. Larkin hit his 17th tonight. Sprong with his 11th. Kopp with his 8th. Like I said, Raymond with his 12th. And it was just an overall fantastic game from the Red Wings. There was a bit of some issues here and there. This game was very turnover prone too, but you could tell the Red Wings played their hearts out. They played the best way they could in a game, mind you, where they didn't get to the ring until just over, I think, like 90 minutes. I think they said it was before the game was actually supposed to start. So they came in, no morning skate, very little warm up, just almost nothing, except they literally got off the bus, went into the locker room, got dressed, and went out there. That was literally what they had, because they had to do that because I guess there was a mechanical error with their plane. And mind you, this is just me, and I'm no airplane mechanic or scientist or mathematician or whatever, but if you are in charge of maintaining a plane for a professional sports team, then I feel like it would be in your best interest and in your job description to make sure the fucking plane works before they need to use it. And I don't know what the problem was. We'll never know. But at the end of the day, how do you not have something? It's got to be something pretty big if you couldn't get it fixed before they needed it to actually use it. So they were supposed to get in last night. They ended up getting in at like 3 o'clock this afternoon. Then they got stuck in Toronto traffic, and it was just a bad time overall for the Detroit Red Wings. But oh boy, did they come out. And the Toronto Maple Leafs played down to the Detroit Red Wings level. Because make no mistake, the Toronto Maple Leafs have a better team than the Detroit Red Wings. Well, it's arguable. The Red Wings have better depth, but the Toronto Maple Leafs definitely have far more scoring power. And obviously, also Patrick Kane got injured in the first period. It doesn't appear to be a hip injury, which is good. And it was unfortunate because Patrick Kane's been such a big part of the Detroit Red Wings offense as of late. But they're hopeful that he can be back for the game on Wednesday. And I hope he'll be back for the game on Wednesday because, I just want him to be back. Patrick Kane's been so good for the Red Wings as of late. And you can't, this team proves that they don't need Patrick Kane on this team to win. But Patrick Kane certainly helps. He's a legitimate superstar, and his chemistry with DeBrincat is second to none. So it's just something that this team should have and would like to have. But at the end of the day, they got it done. The Red Wings got it done. They made Toronto pay for playing down to their level. It was clearly obvious, even after all of the shit happened with Detroit, and the fact that they didn't get to the game until 90 minutes before puck drop, they still came to play. And it was shown that they wanted this win so badly after that Andrew Kopp goal, and the whole bench went berserk. It was just an incredible, incredible time to be alive. And I'm just happy they got the win. I'm happy the Lions got the win, and it's going to be a fantastic time for Detroit sports in the near future. Just wow. I'm at a loss for words. The Red Wings win was great. The Lions win was better, and that's all I can say. I can't say enough about it with my current reaction. Maybe next week when I come on this podcast, I'll be able to articulate things better. But now I want to get into what I want to do on every episode, or at least most every episode. And that is a prospect report on current Red Wings prospects, because a lot of people don't know about most of our prospects now. And so I'm going to put a poll up on the official Red, Orange, and Blue podcast Twitter account, and you guys will be able to vote on which prospect out of 4 that I put up I will be covering. And I did one not too long ago just for some people that follow my actual account at the _Mexinadian. Shameless plug, but it's my fucking podcast, so fuck you. And this one was on Sebastian Cossa. A lot of people wanted to see about Sebastian Cossa. I had Danielson, Sanding Pelka, and Casper up there. But Cossa came out with the win on this one. So we're going to go over Sebastian Cossa today. And I like this one as the first one because Sebastian Cossa's probably got the most hype and or criticism around him out of all the prospects so far. Casper, maybe, but, we've had Cossa in the system for the same amount of time we've had Edvinsson, I believe. So having Cossa be the first one is just kind of fitting. So as far as he goes, he's been playing phenomenally in the AHL. He has held Grand Rapids in games that they shouldn't have been a part of, like their 2-0 loss to Rockford a few days ago. It was only 2-0 because Sebastian Cossa only allowed 2 goals in. And it wasn't even his fault from what I've seen. That game, the team did not play good in front of him whatsoever. Sebastian Cossa, that game could have 100% been a massive blowout game, and he didn't let it happen. He kept them in that game for as long as he possibly could, and he's done that a lot. And I want to say this before I get into a bit more of a deep dive on Sebastian Cossa. People were upset about Yzerman bringing in guys like Lyon and Reimer when we had Cossa down in the AHL, and then they were mad at him when he signed Hutchinson to back up Reimer when both Lyon and Husso were out. Also, Husso is still out. From what I've heard, he's been he's been resting and getting healthier. So hopefully he'll be back soon. But people were upset that Cossa didn't get a shot, and instead they went with Hutchinson. But now I say to that because Jesper Wallstedt, who was the goalie people criticized Yzerman for not taking because he was drafted 2 or 3 spots after Cossa in the first round, and Wallstedt was touted to be incredibly technically sound and more NHL ready than Sebastian Cossa was, and Sebastian Cossa was a bigger project than Jesper Wallstedt was. So Wallstedt got his first start against Dallas a few days ago, and it didn't go well. Jesper Wallstedt got lit up for 7 goals, and they kept him in, which is just horrible. Like, we've seen what that did to Patrick Waugh. It made him straight up quit Montreal. So I don't think Wallstedt's going to do that, obviously, but it goes to show that if you call a goalie up too soon, then it's just going to hurt them. And this has the potential to hurt his confidence because it was a 7-goal game that he was left out to dry for. So all in all, people need to cool it on Yzerman not calling Cossa up. Obviously, Cossa, yes, is playing very good in the AHL, but so was Wallstedt. Wallstedt was doing better than Cossa was in the AHL, but Kossa's not ready for the NHL yet. You just got to let him take time, because goalies take far more time than any other position in the game, and that's not even up for debate. So, but anyway, Sebastian Cossa in 16 AHL games to 2.84 goals against, 906 save percentage, and is 6-3-1. Now, that's not due to him. That is mostly due to the team. That is primarily due to the team in front of him not being very good. And he, from what I've seen, because I don't subscribe to AHL TV, I'm not going to pay like $70 to get every regular season game. That's not going to happen. But he is coming along very well. He has seemed to clean up his game from his time in the ECHL, where he was just dominant in the ECHL, by the way. He was killing, he went on a 15-game win streak. So it was, and then he had a .917 save percentage in the playoffs, in 7 playoffs games. So he is definitely getting back into the swing of things. He's getting into his groove. And it's going to be interesting to see him come up, because personally, I think if Lyon continues to play into next year, current plays that he's having into next year, which Alex Lyon, he is right now the bona fide starter, and it's not even close. Like Husso would have made it interesting. He looks like he was starting to make it interesting. He was starting to get back into his groove, but then he injured him. Then he got injured, and Alex Lyon, he started like 7 straight and just dominated for all of them. Like, he was the primary reason I think Detroit won the LA game. They won they went to overtime the Edmonton game, and they ended up winning the Anaheim game. Like, Alex Lyon is the bona fide starter at this point, and I really hope he continues that play into next season, because if he does, I want Detroit to re-sign him for longer, because that way we have the potential to have a Coastal Lions signing, and that's just got to be the goofiest tandem in the league. Like, I don't know 2 goofier people to be together. Like, Alex Lyon is the biggest goof. I'm sure everybody's seen that video of him from the LA game just staring into the camera right at John Keating, essentially. So I want that to happen, but Sebastian Cossa looks like he is coming along very well. And he's got to, because with Trey Augustine and even guys like Cutter Gauthier, which I'm still surprised that Detroit has not tried to sign him yet, but Trey Augustine is doing phenomenal as well. We'll probably do a deep dive on him. Sebastian Cossa looks like the guy, and he's starting to get more technically sound. Like, he's not going to be as technically sound as Wallstead ever, but he's incredibly athletic, and he makes big saves when needed. And I don't know if he has the potential to be a Vezina candidate when he comes up, but at the end of the day, is any goaltender really a Vezina candidate until they've been in the league for a few years, right? Like, you can't tell me that an AHL goalie in the AHL is Vezina candidate caliber until they come into the show and they play NHL games and they win NHL games. And I don't know if Sebastian Cossa will ever be on that level, but there is potential. There's potential for any goalie to win the Vezina, and I believe Sebastian Cossa can do it. It's just a matter of if he does do it. Now, it's going to be interesting to see where the Red Wings go with him, though, because he'll probably be in Grand Rapids for another year or 2 just to hone his game, but there is a potential for him next season to be a potential call-up if a goalie gets hurt, because next year it's likely going to be Lyon and Husso, because let's face it, Yzerman's not re-signing Reimer. It's just not going to happen. But so it's going to probably be Lyon and Husso, and he may or may not sign a goalie. He might just re-sign Hutchinson and have him stay in the AHL as a third goalie, or he might just sign another third goalie in general. So, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what they go with. But Sebastian Cossa is definitely someone that that I'm glad I got to highlight. Because, like I said, I don't think he's nearing an NHL debut, but there is a potential for him to be a call-up for injury next season. So that is going to be all for this episode of the Red, Orange, and Blue podcast, the first ever episode of the Red, Orange, and Blue podcast. Leave a rating wherever you guys listen. You can listen to this on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Acast itself. And I am so happy to be doing this new project, you guys. I'm so happy that people are going to be listening to this new project, and I am so happy that I get to talk about one of my true passions in Detroit sports. So go Lions, go Red Wings. Pistons, keep losing, please, because we need you to continue your sacrifice so that way these 2 sports teams can make their runs and make their pushes. And let's just keep the hype train going, you guys. Let's keep the Detroit sports hype going, because Detroit sports are coming back with a motherfucking bang, and they are going to cruise and push, and not cruise, they're going to fight, they're going to push, and they are going to bully their way to the tippity fucking top of this of sports. They're going to push their way to the top of whatever sport they're in. The Lions are going to push and bully their way to the top. The Red Wings are going to push their way to the top, and it is going to be a fantastic era for Detroit sports. So thank you guys for listening, and I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you guys later. Adios.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream